Hello everybody, this is a lecture of architectural heritage and today we are going to talk about the Ajanta caves. We have already discussed in our previous classes about how and what are caves and why are they not technically structures. I'll just briefly go over it again. Caves are not technically structures because they are not composed of two or more than two elements. They are carved into a stone. They are technically sculptures which are carved into a stone or a rock, and since they have space within them, that is why we call them rock cut caves. And the structures that we are going to look at today is a this Ajanta caves are a group of 30 caves which are found in the Aurangabad region of present day Maharashtra state of India, and these caves were dug or were excavated over a period of time ranging from 2nd century BC to 480 CE. That means from 2nd century BC to 5th century AD, and this is the long time span for which we have caves for which we have information that the caves, earliest of them was built around or was excavated around 2nd century BC, and the most recent and the most latest of the caves are of around 5th century AD. Today they are located in the Aurangabad district. They are technically Buddhist caves, Buddhist religious spaces in that sense, and they were discovered during the British time by a British officer by the name of John Smith in 1819, and they are carved into the northern wall of a cliff of Deccan Traps. So this is a brief overview of what Ajanta caves are. Now we'll look at the details or the technical details of how and why are these caves, and what are these caves and how can we categorize them. Basically they include two types of structures, mainly the chaityas and the viharas. What are these chaityas and viharas? They are associated with Buddhist building activity. Chaityas are usually associated with being a space where there is a where there is might be a deity, might be an idol, might be a stupa which is there in one of the corners of that hall. It is usually an apsidal hall which has colonnades of pillars. When we look at the images, we look at the ground plan of chaityas, and then the architectural details of the chaityas would become clearer. But what we need to understand is chaityas are something of the likes of a temple or of the likes of a space where prayers are performed, where prayers are held. Those are the chaityas, and viharas are primarily spaces of monasteries or spaces where the Buddhist followers or the people who have devoted themselves to the cause of Buddha, they live. Viharas are technically viharas usually have an open courtyard surrounded by a group of rooms. Those rooms are seen as spaces of accommodation of various Buddhist monks, and the common space in the center around the rooms is a courtyard in that sense. So these are two types of caves, the Chaitya caves and the Vihara caves that are found in Buddhist monuments at Ajanta. We need to understand that Chaityas are not spaces where accommodation happens. Accommodation of the Buddhist monks takes place in viharas, and chaityas are primarily spaces where religious rituals and practices are performed. They are mostly in an apsidal hall with colonnade or with colonnade of pillars which divides the hall into 3 sections, 2 aisles and a broad nave in the middle. The aisles or the pathway that is created by the colonnades is used to perform the circumambulation of the stupa or the deity that is there at the rear end of the far end of the apsidal hall. We will look at the details of the ground plan of these caves in a bit. Apart from that, this is one type of categorization or classification which is done of the caves found at Ajanta, that is on the basis of the use of that particular cave, if it was a Chaitya structure or if it was a Vihara structure. Apart from that, the classification is also done on the basis of the phase of Buddhism to which various caves belonged. We know that Buddhism was divided eventually into 2 sections known as Hinayana Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism. Both these schools of thought or both these philosophical trends in Buddhism have various differences, various debates that are there amongst them. We are not going to go into those details. The concern for us right now is that Mahayana school of Buddhism believed or allowed the physical human form of depiction of Buddha, which was not allowed in Hinayana Buddhism, and Hinayana Buddhism is a is an earlier trend, Mahayana is a later trend. So we know that these 2 divisions were there in the Buddhist philosophical religious thought, and because of these 2 divisions, because there was this important element in the differences amongst these 2 schools, that one of the school allowed the depiction of human form, the other did not. So that is why we find there are 2 categories of caves that are found, one where there are human depictions of Buddha and the other where there are no human depictions of Buddha or no depictions of Buddha in the human form. So these are the further elements in which the caves at caves at Ajanta are divided, right. Moreover, they are also divided on the basis of the phases of construction. There are 2 major phases of construction that have been identified at Ajanta. The earliest of them was around 2nd century BC to 1st century AD, which was under the patronage of the Satavahana rulers, and the second phase of patronage of Ajanta caves was around 5th to 6th century AD under the patronage of Vakataka kings or Vakataka dynasty, most importantly under the rule of Vakataka emperor Harisena. So these are the various aspects which we need to keep in mind when we look at the caves at Ajanta. One, that they are classified on the basis of their utilitarian aspects, basically if they are used as prayer halls or if they are used as accommodative spaces, the prayer halls being chaityas and accommodative spaces being viharas. Second aspect on which they can be classified are the aspects of the school of religious or philosophical thought that they belonged to, if it was Mahayana or if it was Hinayana. And the third classification or categorization of caves at Ajanta is done on the basis of chronology, whether they belonged to the earlier phase belonging to the Satavahana dynasty or they belong to the later phase belonging to the Vakataka kings dynasty. So this is what we need to know. Now we will just briefly look at certain elements or certain images that we need to know, we need to see before going into the details of each cave. I will go over important features of each cave. There are around 29-30 of them. We will not go into the details of each cave, but I will just briefly give an overview of them and we will deal in detail some of the important ones. Before that, we need to have a look at what are chaityas, what are viharas, and certain mythological and mythological aesthetic elements which are depicted in these caves. We will just have a look at that as well, right. So this is a ground plan of the Ajanta caves. They are embedded or they are carved into this northern wall of a cliff of Deccan Traps. It's a cliff and in the northern wall of that cliff are these caves carved out. This is what a chaitya looks like. Chaityas are usually apsidal hall, which are the halls which look like this. The circular object or the circular depiction towards the right end of this particular image is usually the place where a stupa is carved, or a Buddha's image is carved, or both of them are there together, and that image or that sculpture of the stupa or the Buddha are seen as objects of reverence or objects of worship. And the columns, you can see there are certain pillars that divide the entire hall into 3 sections. The two on the outer end are used as the 2 sections on the outer end are used as circumambulatory path, and there is a middle nave that is there. Apart from that, this is what a vihara looks like. There is an inner courtyard surrounded by chambers. There are at times in some of the viharas there is also an inner sanctum where which acts as a prayer hall. Here we can see the sanctum at the topmost location in this particular image. That is a sanctum where Buddha's image or Buddha's stupa is placed, and that is a place where these monks who are staying in the vihara can perform their prayers and can worship their god. So this is the division of chaityas and viharas. Now we are also going to look at certain forms in which Buddha is depicted, because these terms are going to come over and over again in the course of our detailed study of the various caves at Ajanta. So it's better to have a look at what are these various elements. So one thing that we need to understand is we need to look at this particular mudra or posture in which Buddha is depicted in some of these caves. This posture is known as Dharma Chakra Parivartan Mudra, or preaching attitude in English, and Buddha usually holds his hands like this in Dharma Chakra Parivartan Mudra, and whenever it is referred, it would be referred ahead. Whenever it would be referred to, whenever Buddha would be referred to holding this position or standing in this position or sitting in this position, this is what we need to understand, that this is the Dharma Chakra Parivartan Mudra. Apart from that, there is Pralamba Padasana, which is also a posture in which Buddha is depicted in some of these caves, and this is the posture which is understood to be as the Pralamba Padasana posture of Buddha. Moreover, there are certain other elements or certain other mythological creatures that are depicted in these caves. We will just look at the most common of them, the most common being Salabhanjikas, Yakshas and Yakshinis. So Salabhanjikas are basically female depictions, female carvings, female figures, which are usually have exaggerated feminine features, and they are usually associated with trees, and this is a rough image of what a Salabhanjika looks like. Moreover, Yakshas are depicted in this manner. They are also they are carved in stone in most of these caves, and apart from that there are also Yakshinis. So these are the elements that are there in various caves. They are depicted in various caves. In these elements are depicted in various caves in this particular manner. So this is an outline of what Ajanta caves are and what are the various features of Ajanta caves. Now we'll just look at the caves themselves. The first cave, or cave 1, is a vihara. Its dimensions are given 35.7 into 27.6. We don't have to remember the dimensions of all the caves, but we need to remember which one is the largest, and some of them are double storied, so we can also remember that, and we need to understand the important features of these various caves. So this is a monastery, a vihara, which is dated around 4th to 5th centuries AD. In this, Buddha is represented in a seated Dharma Chakra Parivartan Mudra. We have seen Dharma Chakra Parivartan Mudra, and it is famous for painted depictions of Bodhisattvas, Padmapani and Vajrapani. Now, what are Bodhisattvas? Bodhisattvas have different interpretations in Hinayana and Mahayana Buddhism. One of them argues that, for example, the Hinayana school argues that Bodhisattva can be Buddha in his earlier lives, or anybody who has a resolution to become Buddha. This is a brief background to what Bodhisattvas are. There are minor differences in Hinayana and Mahayana opinions about Bodhisattvas, but they can primarily be either depiction of Buddha in his earlier lives, or his depiction prior to enlightenment in his human life. And in Mahayana school, it is also argued that anybody, any human being who is on the path of enlightenment, who is following the rules of gaining enlightenment, can be called Bodhisattva. So these are two types of Bodhisattvas: Padmapani representing the compassion element of Buddha, and Vajrapani depicting his powers. They are very famous paintings of Ajanta caves, and they are basically elements that hold importance in the aesthetic development or aesthetic vibrancy of these Ajanta caves. Now, having looked at that, having understood Padmapani and Vajrapani, there are certain other Jatakas that are depicted in painted form and sometimes in carved forms. There are various names, for example, Sibi, Samkhapala, Mahajanaka. So these are various names of the Jatakas that are depicted in this particular cave. Now we don't have to remember the names of all the Jatakas, but we need to understand that Jatakas are stories of Buddha's earlier births, and they are a lot of them are there. We have already talked about how 350 of them are depicted on the outer railings and gateways of Sanchi Stoop. So there are a number of Jatakas, and some of them are depicted in cave number 1. This is a brief, this is an outer view of cave number 1 at Ajanta, and these are the painted images or the paintings that are there within the cave number 1 of Ajanta caves, and these paintings belong to 4th and 5th centuries AD, and this holds a lot of aesthetic value and archaeological and historical value as well. Moving over, we'll talk about cave number 2. Cave number 2 again is a monastery. It has been dated to 6th century AD, and it again has Buddha in the Dharma Chakra Parivartan Mudra inside the sanctum. Now remember, the sanctum of a monastery or a vihara is within the courtyard with rooms, and one of the rooms either, or there is a room separately carved at the deepest end, which is treated as a sanctum. Chaityas are primarily spaces where prayers are performed, right? So this is a monastery or a vihara which has cells and a sanctum, which is the inner chamber, and where Buddha is depicted in a seated Dharma Chakra Parivartan Mudra. And there are also depictions of yaksha figures. Now we already know what yaksha figures look like, and there are two types of yakshas that are depicted: Sankhanidhi and Padmanidhi. So these are the two names or two types of yakshas that are there depicted in cave number 2, and this cave is also extensively painted, especially the ceiling paintings of Jataka tales which are there are very famous for cave number 2. Now cave number 2 is looks like this, and you can see the ceilings are beautifully decorated, and what we see right now is the opening to the sanctum where Buddha is seated in a Dharma Chakra Parivartan Mudra. Moving ahead, cave 3 is an incomplete cave. Some of the caves at Ajanta are incomplete, they could not be finished. Moving over, cave 4 is again a squarish vihara with the sanctum and a pillared veranda, and it is dated around 6th century AD. The door of this particular cave are exquisitely carved, and there are a lot of like fine depictions of bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas we've already talked about. Bodhisattvas can be a person leading to the Bodhi path or the path of the Buddha, or depiction of Buddha from his life before enlightenment. So this is Bodhisattva, and the Bodhisattvas are depicted on the gateway of this particular vihara number cave number 4. Moving ahead, cave number 5, this is cave number 4, and you can see that there are exquisite carvings, fine decorations, there are pillars that are there of various depictions of various bodhisattvas at the surface of the wall. Moving ahead, cave 5 is an unfinished monastery. It is known for, even though it is an unfinished monastery, there are there is a door which is carved with female figures on makaras. There are again mythological elements. We don't have to go into the details of that. Moving ahead, cave number 6 is a double storied monastery. The dimensions are given 16.85 into 18.7 18.07 meters, and what does this consist of? This consists of a hall, a sanctum, a pillared hall in the lower story. You know all these elements which are important or which are a part of a vihara. And what is important is that in this particular vihara, in the sanctum, Buddha is again depicted in a preaching attitude, that is the dharma chakra dharma, that is the image that we saw earlier, that is the dharma chakra parivartan mudra, right. So this is the form or the mudra in which Buddha is depicted in the sanctum of cave number 6. And there are certain other paintings which depict certain mythological tales associated with the Buddhist traditions. For example, miracle of Shravasti and temptation of Mara. These stories, we will not go into the details, but these stories primarily talk about people gaining knowledge, right path over a period of time, and they are important in the Buddhist mythological trends. Sculptural depictions of Buddha is also there in cave number 6. Cave number 6 is looks like this. This is an image which depicts cave number 6. Further, cave number 7 is a monastery which consists of a sanctum. So there are monasteries which have these various variations, slight variations. Some of them have pillars, some of them do not have pillars, and some of them have octagonal pillars, and the number of cells in each monastery or in each vihara varies. So all these things are there regarding the various monasteries or various finer or minor differences of these monasteries. So we have to not go into the details of each of them or remember each one, but we need to know about them. So in this particular cave, Buddha is again in the sanctum depicted in a Dharma Chakra Parivartan Mudra, and this is a hall. The hall or the open courtyard is supported by pillars. It is a pillared space with octagonal pillars, and it has 8 cells in its it is composed of 8 cells surrounded outside a inner courtyard, right. And here again the miracle of Shravasti is depicted. This again is a miracle of Gautama Buddha. We have talked about how we don't have to go into the details, but there were these instances from the life of Buddha, the miracles that he performed over a period of his time, of his life, that they are depicted in these caves. Cave number 8 is an unfinished monastery, unfinished vihara, and it is a major portion of this particular cave was swept by a landslide. This is cave number 8. You can see the broken and the devastation caused by the landslide to this particular cave. Now, two important caves are cave number 9 and cave number 10. Cave number 9 is again is not a vihara but a chaitya, and it is datable to 2nd century BC and belongs to the Hinayana phase. We know that the Mahayana phase had started somewhere around the beginning of the Christian era, and since this particular chaitya belongs to the 2nd century BC, it belongs to the Hinayana phase of Buddhism. Hence, there is no human depiction of Buddha in this particular cave. The chaityas, we'll look at the image of the chaitya. Chaityas usually have a chaitya window at their facade, and those chaitya windows are important aesthetic elements in the chaityas, and they are also architecturally useful because they allow the entry of light into the cave space. This particular chaitya consists of an entrance door with 2 side windows. There is a central hall, obviously, which is an important element of chaitya architecture, and there are paths on the sides which are used for circumambulation or pradakshina. There are 23 pillars that are there in this particular cave, and the stupa is there in the place where there should be a deity. So, stupa is the place of worship that is there. Again, because it's a Hinayana chaitya, there is no image of Buddha. When we talked about Sanchi stupa, we talked about how when there was no depiction of Buddha in the human form, Buddha was depicted as a through certain elements, and stupa was one of the elements in which, or one of the symbols through which Buddha was depicted, right. Now, in this particular chaitya and in other chaityas of Ajanta caves as well, we see that there is a reproduction of wooden architectural styles. Now, the architecture is in stone, or the building or the carving is in stone, but there is a reflection, or there is an attempt at recreating the wooden architectural styles. We know that in the time that we are talking about, the wooden architecture was the most prominent and the most widely used, and it was the methods and styles of that wooden architecture that was attempted to be replicated in these stone structures as well. We know about that in Sanchi stupa as well, when we know that the methods of joining the elements of Vedikas was done with the help of a wooden technique, or the technique used in wooden construction or building activity, right. And the chaitya is supposed to be used during the later period as well, because there are certain sculptures of Buddha on the facade, which means that when the Mahayana phase had begun and certain Mahayana schools were there, so then also this chaitya was in use, which is asserted by the fact that there are certain sculptures of Buddha and that are there on the facade of the particular chaitya. And inside the chaitya as well, there are 2 layers of paintings that are observed, the earliest one being of the 1st century BC, and the second being of the 5th and 6th centuries AD, and probably the sculptures of Buddha also belong to the second date, the 5th and the 6th centuries AD. So, this is the cave 9, the window or the arch that we see in the at the top is known as a chaitya window, and there is this opening that is there. So, this is the facade of cave number 9, and towards the left you can see that there are certain sculptural depictions of Buddha in human form, right. Now, this is the most important cave, cave number 10. Why is it most important? Because it was because of this cave that the entire Ajanta cave complex was eventually unearthed. In April 1819, John Smith, a British officer, observed this huge arch of this chaitya, which is cave number 10, and eventually because of this discovery, the entire complex was discovered. In this particular chaitya, there is a Brahmi inscription on the facade which dates to 2nd century BC, and which suggests that this particular chaitya was a gift of somebody named Vasithi Puta Katahadi. And there are these dimensions that are there of the cave, and it is again a chaitya, so it has a pradakshina path, it has 38 octagonal pillars, and the rocket stupa is the object of worship. Again, here also there are two periods of paintings that are observed, one dating to 2nd century BC and the other to 4th to 6th centuries AD, and there are several Jataka tales that are there. This is the image of Chaitya at cave number 10, and this is the famous arch which was observed by John Smith, which led to the excavation of the entire Ajanta complex. Now, cave number 11 is a vihara dated to 5th century AD. There are certain details that are there about the number of cells. There are 6 of them. So, we do not have to go into the details of each cave, we just need to understand that cave number 11 is a vihara, and there are certain variations from other viharas that are observed in this particular cave. For your knowledge, you can understand that there were 6 cells in this particular cave. Or in this particular vihara, and Buddha is in preaching attitude, or Dharma Chakra Parivartan Mudra is represented or carved in the sanctum of this particular stupa. Cave number 12 is again a Hinayana monastery. The front wall of this particular monastery has collapsed, and there are 12 cells inside it, and this particular cave also has an inscription which records that this cave was a gift by a merchant of the name Ghanama Dada, and it is dated around 2nd to 1st century BC. It is dated on the basis of the writing of the inscription, and that is known as paleographically. Further, the cave number 13 is there. This is what cave number 12 looks like. It is again a vihara. You can have an idea how this is the courtyard main, and there are certain chambers which open into this main courtyard. Moreover, cave number 13 is a monastery. We do not have to go into the details of each of these caves. Cave number 14 is excavated above cave number 13, and in this cave number 14 there are depictions of the female figures of Salabhanjikas. Cave number 15 is a Ace Tyler Hall. What is Ace Tyler Hall? Ace Tyler Hall is a hall which does not have pillars, and it has 8 cells and a sanctum, and the Buddha is depicted on a Sinhasana, that is on a throne, in this particular cave. Cave number 15A is a smaller cave which is the smallest cave that has been excavated at Ajanta, and it again consists of a central Ace Tyler Hall, a hall without any pillars. And there are certain inscriptions that were there on the front wall of this particular cave, right. Cave number 16 is has an inscription, and that is of value because that inscription talks about its excavation by Varaha Deva, who is the minister of Vakataka King Harisena, and it is a central hall surrounded by 14 cells, and there are certain depictions of mythological tales from the life of Buddha, and also certain Jataka stories are depicted on cave number 16. Moreover, cave number 17 has a Brahmi inscription that records the excavation of this cave by a feudatory prince of Vakataka king Harisena, and this also has a hall surrounded by 17 cells. It also has some well preserved paintings of Vakataka age, and these paintings include certain Jatakas and certain events from the life of Gautama Buddha. This is cave number 17's image, or cave number 17's what cave number 17 actually looks like. Cave number 18 is again something that does not have much contribution. It's simply a It simply has two pillars and octagonal shafts that are there in the hall of this particular cave. Moreover, cave number 19 is a Chaitya and it is dated to 5th century AD. The stupa is carved and there is a standing image of Buddha in cave number 19. We will look at that. And the most important part about this cave, the cave number 19, is the sculptural grandeur of the cave. There are many yaksha images that are depicted in this particular cave. This is cave number 19. You can see the standing image of Buddha carved in front of the stupa. And also here you can see the ceiling of this particular Chaitya and these ribs that are there on those ceilings, and this is what we were talking about when we were talking about the replication of wooden architecture in stone, and this is something that is important and we need to remember that. Cave number 20 is a Vihara dated around 450 AD to dated between 450 and 525 AD. It has a Brahmi inscription which records that it was a gift by one Upendra. There are no more details that they are there. Cave number 21 is again a Vihara which has pillared Vihara. It has 12 cells and the sanctum houses Buddha, and there are also some traces of paintings that are noticed in cave number 21. Cave number 22 is an A-styler hall, again a hall without pillars. The central hall is without pillars and there are certain unfinished cells that are there within this Vihara. Important part in this particular cave is that Buddha is depicted in a Pralamba Padasana posture, which we have already looked at. And there are certain other figures, mythological figures associated with Buddhism that are depicted in this particular cave, cave 22. Cave 23 is again an unfinished cave. It consists of an A-styler hall in the middle and the cells are not complete. Further, cave number 24 is again an unfinished monastery, but it is the second largest cave at Ajanta. The largest was cave number 4 and this is the second largest. It consists of a pillared hall and a sanctum, and here also Buddha is depicted in Pralamba Padasana posture. Cave number 25 has an A-styler hall and a pillared veranda is there, and it has certain cells. So all these details are there in cave number 25. Cave number 26 is important because it is a Chaitya and it is somewhat similar to cave number 19, but is a bit larger than cave number 19, and it has exquisitely decorated pictures and figures that are there. Inscription dating around 450 AD is found on the walls and it records this particular Chaitya as a gift by a monk known as Buddha Bhadra, who is a friend of a minister of King Asmaka Vidarbha. So this is what we know of the cave 26 and how cave number 26 has certain inscription which records that it was a gift or it was excavated as a part of a donation or a gift from one monk Buddha Bhadra. Cave number this is again also has certain carved depictions, certain decorative motifs are there carved within this particular Chaitya. There are images of Buddha and there are various depictions that are there associated with Buddhist mythology. Now cave number 27, 28 and 29 they are somewhat that do not have anything very specific or anything noteworthy. We know that cave number 27 was a monastery or a vihara with a hall with 4 cells and a sanctum sanctorum. Cave number 20 is an unfinished vihara and cave number 29 is an unfinished Chaitya. So this is more or less what we need to know about the details of the Ajanta caves. There are many depictions, many carvings, many paintings dealing with Jataka tales dealing with certain miracles of the life of Gautama Buddha, dealing with certain mythological creatures. So there's a vast variety when we talk about the aesthetics of the cave. There are original classification on the basis of the types of caves, on the basis of the phases of construction, on the basis of the schools of thought we have already discussed. So this is what we need to know about the Ajanta caves, and we need to remember that they are all of them are Buddhist, associated with Buddhist religious thought. Thank you.